All right, Andrew Easton here with the ESUCC, and I'm so grateful to Dr. Lynn Herr of ESU6 for joining us. We're going to give you a little bit of an overview here now of what is going to be a series of videos, really, this Zoom Teacher Tips playlist. So Lynn's going to give us, again, a little bit of what we can expect from the subsequent videos that are going to follow. And so, Lynn, thank you so much for sharing. We're looking forward to learning from you. And each of these, it's important to note from the top, we're going to get into more detail in the videos that are part of that playlist. So check those out afterwards.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. And I just want to point out that the tools and ideas mentioned just come from work with teachers through the spring and summer as we were experimenting to see what works and what doesn't in terms of student engagement, how teachers need these tools in the instructional process. And hopefully this will give you some ideas of things that you can do that require pretty small amounts of effort. Just knowing that they're there sometimes is the most important piece. So in this video, we will go through the slides with the ideas. And as Andrew said, we'll have breakout videos that go into a bit more detail. You can access these slides at this bit.ly address. So it's bit.ly/Zoom refresh, all lowercase. This is my master Zoom file. So anything that I find out later will be added to this file, and you're welcome to save that and use that as you need. So if we go ahead and get started here, the topics that I've included in this file are waiting rooms. And I know most of you are used to using waiting rooms. We'll talk about how to do some customizing of the waiting room. Also how you can create a slide in Zoom to help set the tone for class and share just that slide in the minutes before class as students are entering Zoom to help them settle and get ready for learning. Different ideas for how you can share your screen that you may not have heard about, different ways that you can get more interactivity. And then I've got some general resources about Zoom for educators, and then just some things that are fun and engaging for us to explore. So I'm using a Slides Mania template. I know a lot of you use those templates. In general, in this file, some reflection questions are on the right and some resources are in the white portion of the screen. So one thing I wanted to just make sure people are aware of is that you can customize your waiting room in Zoom. So if I go back here to the first slide, this is just a Bitmoji welcome. You can make that the logo for your Zoom meeting room so that it's friendly when kids come in. You can also customize some text in the waiting room. So what's linked here is right out to Zoom's help to show you how you can customize that if you'd like to. And again, we'll come back to this in more detail as we need to. You can also help students settle in. So if you have one slide, just like often that you do in your physical classroom, where you post that slide that says, here are the supplies you'll need today. Here's what we're working on. Sometimes even people include something like a joke of the day or a song of the day that's playing in the background. Those are very easy to create. And all that you have to do is just pop on a couple minutes early, share that slide. The students that are in your classroom can be looking at the same slide as the students who are joining your classroom in Zoom. So just that whole settling in, focusing in, and getting ready for school. And there's some ideas that you can do. And the one tip that I would say is there are timers available all over YouTube. And if you need a 4-minute timer, you can go to YouTube, find a 4-minute timer and embed that on a slide. And you can even advance it if you need to have less minutes as class starts. So screen sharing, we often practice with the Zoom whiteboard and screen sharing. One of our breakout sessions that we will be doing in more detail related to this presentation is about how you can share your slides layered underneath you. So what you'll see here, I'm going to go ahead and pop out to a YouTube video, and I'm going to try to advance. I'm going to let this play. I will talk while it's going here to get through the ads. And while we're here, I also want to show you a quick YouTube tip that's mentioned on this slide. I'm up in the YouTube address because these ads are so annoying, and I know as teachers you're annoyed by that too. If you find the question mark in the address of a YouTube video and you type underscore pop-up and hit return, what happens is it gets rid of those ads and gives you a new link that has the word embed. So now I would share this link out through Google Classroom or wherever it is that I am wanting to share a video, and we don't have to deal with the previews and the ads and everything else. So while that's not a Zoom tip, I have found a lot of teachers are really thankful for that. And so I won't go through this video, but it is linked in the slides and it's a tutorial. So what the teacher has done is just shared her screen through Zoom in a different way that lets her layer herself on top of slides. So she took pictures of the pages of Goodnight Moon, made that the slide presentation, shared her slides through the advanced tab in Zoom, and layered herself over the top. So both of those things, if I pop back over here, it talks in this bonus tip about how to get rid of those ads in YouTube. And then it also links out to the tutorial of how to do this. And it mentions here on slide 6, this is where you find the tab that you need to be able to share your slides, where you can layer yourself. And while we're here, I also want to point out that portion of the screen is a really, really helpful tip for teachers, where you can zoom into part of your screen. It allows students who are working on small screens on iPads or Chromebooks to be able to see much better the part of the screen you want them to see, while allowing you as the teacher access to other things that you need to preview what it is that you're teaching. Another thing that I wanted to share is that breakout rooms have been so important for differentiation and small group learning. At the same time, they're kind of a scary black hole. When we send students out into breakout rooms, unless we pop in and watch them, or we have an assistant pop in and watch them, we don't know if they're doing anything productive there. We also know that if you pop in as the teacher to a breakout room and leave, the work productivity generally stops, because they know that by the time you get to the other groups, you're going to have a lot of space where you're not coming back. One way to manage that, and we will have a breakout, more detailed view on that, is to send students out into breakout rooms in different ways with different tasks to do. So for example, if I go into this set of slides, which is a template that is linked on this slide, a teacher created this template for you. It's got the directions in. And if I go through here, if I open up this template, this is ready for you to use. All you have to do is use that blue template button and open it. You would delete this teacher instruction slide once you know how to do it. And this is set up where the breakout rooms each are assigned one slide. You can pre-populate those slides with prompts that you want students to do. And we'll talk in a minute about roles that you can assign students. So we can have a recorder for a group who records the student names, and anything that you're asking students to record and work on when they're in their breakout rooms would be typed on these slides. And my tip on that is, most of us in Google Slides used to using this film strip view, it's called. I didn't know that until this summer, but the slides, what I would call edit mode, we're used to, this is called film strip view. At the bottom left corner of your screen, then one over from that is called grid view. So if I click on grid view and pop over here, I can see every breakout room that is currently going. So I should be, if we were in a breakout room with a group of, or in a class with a group of students right now that were working in small groups, I would instantly be seeing whatever they're doing on these slides. So if the group in breakout room 3, nothing is showing up on their slide, that's a prompt to me that I need to pop over to breakout room 3 and see what's keeping them from doing their work. So this is a tool that's been really helpful to me as a staff developer, but it's also really helpful for students. Students can even just put pictures in those slides or something that lets you manage the class without extra work by coming in here. So that is what's linked here On this slide, I've got different templates that are already created for you to use. We were just looking at the breakout room note taker template. Slides Mania has a template that's ready for you. I also really like this file where it's organized by what preference students have for how they spend their time. Do they just need a quiet place to work? Do they need support from the teacher? Do they just want to work with other students? So anything that we can do to get better engagement, we always want to implement that. I just want to pause for a minute, Andrew, to see if you have any comments or questions on anything so far.
I'm good. I'm just learning right along with you. So thanks for sharing. Let's keep going, Lynn. I appreciate it.
All right. I also want to point out, and this is not as hot of a tip as it was a month ago, but if your Zoom is current, and it is pretty important to keep your Zoom updated, often I want to point out updating your own Zoom as a teacher isn't enough. If the students have not also updated their Zoom, they may not see things in the same way that you do. You can allow students to self-select breakout rooms now. So in that slide I was just showing you, you could have those 4 rooms set up where they needed teacher support, quiet time, independent work, or group work, and let them choose if that's appropriate for your class. All right, interaction tools. In the interaction tools, this link goes right out to Zoom. A lot of you have used the applause icon. You've used the thumbs up, the celebrate. Those are some interaction feedback tools in Zoom. We also have the raise your hand. And I'm going to just pause to say, I believe it's really important for teachers and students to understand raise your hand versus thumbs up or feedback. Raise your hand stays up until the teacher or the student puts the hand down, just like if it was in a regular classroom where the reactions is what Zoom calls them. Those usually disappear in about 2 seconds. So this is about a combination of interaction tools as well as roles that you can assign students when they are in breakout rooms to help get that interaction and productivity. So a timer, and these are just some ideas for how you could choose those in assigning the roles. And this is what I did. These were how we chose the timer, how we chose the note taker, the reporter, and the discussion leader when I was working with a group of teachers recently. More on interactivity, that nonverbal feedback, the reactions that we talked about. Polls, I find a lot of teachers aren't aware that you can create up to 25 polls per Zoom meeting in advance and pull up one question at a time throughout the class. Research shows that we should be having students interact in some physical way every 6 minutes when we're doing digital learning. And that is hard to manage when you're trying to also teach students in the classroom and students in Zoom. But with polls where we do those one question and things that they just choose yes or no, the beautiful thing about polls is that all of the answers are collected and you can pull a report into Google Sheets or Excel at the end of a class period. And it looks a little bit suspicious if Joe was in class all day but never answered a poll question. That's a way we can discuss with Joe. So Joe, were you actually involved in class, or did you just open up Zoom and leave for the day? That's a way we can help manage that. I do mention here thinking about physical things in Zoom. So anytime we can have students write things and hold them up on paper, any way that we can just keep that interaction going. These screens just give you some suggestions for how to go in and customize your settings to eliminate some problems that many teachers have with student behavior in Zoom. And I just listed here from my experience in working with teachers, these are the settings that I think are most important for you to understand. So for example, you can remove an attendee, but if you don't have it set correctly, that person can never come back in. So you may want to send them to the hallway for a few minutes, but want them back in a few minutes as well. If that setting is not correct, they can't get back in even when you call their name to come back in. These are some just general resources on how to get better involvement and interaction in Zoom. And then this is where kind of just some of the fun things come. So here I have for you 2 links that are soundboards that you can use as part of Zoom. So if you are having, you need an incentive for a student to be able to have a job for the day, where if you have one you could trust to do the sound effects, they could be assigned a category, and when it's appropriate, when the teacher cues, they could decide, okay, this is the sound effect that I want to play today, or we want to do a cheer. If they want to give positive feedback, that's what this pink column is here. Nailed it. So just ways to keep some fun and interaction in. So that's the teacher soundboard. There's also this pop culture soundboard, and when you open this link, you do need to then click the go to soundboard. I could see that if you were used to using some of these in the physical classroom, for example, when it's time, when my teacher used to say when I was in school, if they'd be up at the board and saying, I'm underlining this because it's really important for you to know this for the future quiz. Maybe instead in Zoom, we do this one. So maybe it could be an audio cue that this is important. So that's what these 2 are. This one I found online, the mystery sound game. And I'll show you this. My best tip on this, and we can do a breakout on this, is be sure that your screen share is set up to only show this slide. If they see the slides on the left, it's going to ruin the game. But the idea, this is a way to get kids used to breakout rooms and practice with a low threshold. It doesn't really matter if it doesn't go well. This is a way to practice. So what happens here, we're going to think about this as a way to introduce breakout rooms to students and how to be efficient. So they only are going to get 30 seconds to 1 minute in the breakout room. And the idea would be I go to a slide and I'll go to present mode here just so that we can kind of replicate. So we've got game behavior expectations, the procedures, you would do that with the kids. And then we've got this listen. So if I play the sound, I would pop the kids out into breakout rooms. They have paper. They're writing down what they think that sound was. They're discussing it. I close the breakout room, so they're barely out there, but they get the idea. They come back and hold up their answers. They can also try to convince others of their answers, and then I show them what the sound was. This is set up for you with lots of different sounds that are really kind of interesting. The sound of, I was thinking I really need to look up. I know it's not a flock of bats, but this one that is the sound of a group of bats. Lots of just different sounds that you could use as a hook to a lesson. You could easily customize these. I also worked with a group of teachers that thought about, instead of doing sounds, you could do zoomed in pictures, perspective pictures of something related to your curriculum, have them guess what it is, and come back for just, again, improving that engagement factor. So that one is here and ready for you to use. There's a whole Padlet here of ideas of engaging students in breakout rooms, and this continues to grow. So this is set up and it grows and grows over time with quizzes and visual activities, would you rathers, games that keep those students engaged and enjoying class when they're with you. So there's all kinds of resources there for you as well. So that's the overview, Andrew, and we'll have some breakouts coming up.
Yeah, excited to just once again share those slides. So if you would like, it's going to be at bit.ly/Zoom refresh. Really looking forward to a deep dive on those respective topics. And so Dr. Lynn Herr, thank you for your time and sharing this. And we look forward to learning more in the breakouts. So be sure to check those out.
Welcome.